Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am so happy to be here with you guys to help you guys master conflict resolution, especially in emergency situations. I appreciate you guys for being here and thank you for the guests that are in here. This is going to be interactive. So no, we do not have to mute you guys because you guys can answer questions, ask questions, and I say answer questions because I'm going to be asking you some questions. All right. If you have a notebook, get a pen. If not, your phone for the mental notes only, or just take down these notes right here. All right. Are you guys ready? I'm going to be sharing my screen and we are going to get into enhancing team dynamics and response. How? By mastering conflict resolution. All right, here we go, guys.
We can hear you. They look
See.
nervous.
All right, so who am I? Hold on, let's get back to my camera because I want you guys to focus on the words, but hey y'all, I am Kenya Metoyer, your relationship coach that don't play. And I say that because I help individuals unlearn and relearn relationship dynamics through informed choices, reliable resources, tools, and resources that you guys did not even know that you guys needed. Also know a personal growth strategies because it all starts with self-discovery and self-reflection. And again, this is not just intimate relationships. I'm talking co-workerships, clientships, any kind of ships that we have out there. I am here to help you relearn and unlearn what you don't know. All right. So let's get back to this presentation here. Again, grab your tips, grab your notes, because we are getting into it. So in this presentation, you will gain a deeper understanding of 5 conflict resolution styles. I bet you guys did not know that there were 5 of them. All right, when I do this presentation before, they be like, oh, I thought it was just 2. Right and wrong. Like, no, no, no. There are 5 conflict resolutions. All right. There is the competitive style. Oh my goodness. The collaborative style, the compromising style, the avoiding style, and the accommodating style. Also, the assertive style. All right. Now, this afternoon and morning, I'm on the West Coast, y'all. But if anybody's joining me from the West Coast virtually, but good afternoon. So this style, what we're talking about today, is how it's going to apply to each emergency situation. All right, because there are some emergency situations in our personal life, but those are going to be different. This, we're talking about styles in high stake and high stress environment, because building emotional intelligence in conflict resolution, that right there is where the enhancing of the team dynamics and effective communication. Oh, effective communication is another beast. All right. But that is something else because, again, I bet you guys didn't know there were 5 communication styles. Oh, we're not going to get into that tonight. But what we are going to do, everyone, is I want to know what your conflict resolution style is. Grab a pen and paper, and I'm going to check in the comments, check in the chat. Does anyone have any questions before I get to your conflict resolution style? Nope. All right. Well, I want to know. Let's go with the first question. When faced with a conflict, what is your initial response? I want you to write down either A, B, C, D, or E. I'm going to give you some time here. So I try to find a solution that benefits everyone involved and promotes teamwork. Or I assert my own needs and goals, standing up for myself and my beliefs. C, I avoid addressing the conflict and hope it resolves itself without confrontation. D, I prioritize maintaining harmony and accommodating others' needs to keep the peace. Or do you E, I seek middle ground through compromise and mutual agreement, considering everyone's perspective. Write it down or take a mental note. A, B, C, D, or E. Now I know some people are like, what if it's both? Because it's just the initial response right now. All right, let's go to the second one. We're going to do about 5 of these. How do you typically handle disagreements with friends or family? Do you A, I listen to everyone's concerns and work together to find a solution that respects everyone's feelings? Or do you B, I stand my ground and argue my point until others see things my way? Do you C, I try to ignore the issue and avoid confrontation to prevent tension? D, I prioritize keeping the peace and avoiding conflict, even if it means sacrificing my own desires? Or do you E, I try to negotiate and find a solution that satisfies everyone involved, considering each person's needs? A, B, C, D, or E? Let's do another one. We just got to get a few more in just so that, the scale can, because these are conflicts arise. They are, we cannot avoid the conflicts. So let's go. In a group setting, how do you contribute to resolving conflicts? A, I facilitate discussions and encourage open communication to find solutions that work for everyone. Or B, I take charge and make decisions to resolve the conflict quickly and decisively. Do you see? I try to stay out of conflicts altogether and avoid getting involved. We see a pattern, y'all. I know y'all like, hold on, but I want to see. I'm going to see. Do we D? I try to keep the peace and prevent conflicts from escalating by calming tensions and mediating disputes? Or do we E, I act as a mediator between conflicting parties, helping them to find common ground and compromise? All right, count the number of each letter selected. I'll give you a second. I was going to do Jeopardy music, but I don't think that's not the time. Let's see. And again, that was only a few. All right, now, but for everyone that is watching this presentation, I will offer a free assessment and a 5-day mastering conflict resolution challenge. Okay, because again, this is only on a lower scale, but for the presentation purposes, let's see, tally up how many you have. All right, now, if you have majority of A's, then you have the collaborative conflict resolution style. If you have majority of B's, you have the competitive style. Now, C is the avoiding style. D, the accommodating style. And we have E, the compromising style. Now, anyone want to share what theirs is? Type in the comments. If you're virtually, anyone wants to just hop in and let me know what their conflict resolution style is before we get into the meat and the needy and the greedy? Let me get off of camera. I see you guys. I see you. No? All right, no worries at all. Keep that mental because now we are going to go through what conflict resolution is. All right, now let us see. What is conflict resolution? Let's go through the first one. All right, there are 5 of them like I expressed in the beginning. And the first one is the assertive and the direct style. The individuals that have this style tends to get straight to the point. Okay, they are assertive, and that means that they have the knowledge, they have done the research, and they are immediate. These tend to be the leaders of the group. The assertive ones sometimes might come off a little harsh. Now, that is different from the competitive style that we are definitely going to get into. But this one, they express their viewpoints clearly, openly, and aiming to address the issue directly. Okay, they value the honest communication and they prioritize finding a solution over avoiding the conflict. They are solution driven. Now, when I remember, I said the communication styles as well. There is a correlation because one of them is the assertive communication style there too. But we are talking about how important it is to balance that assertiveness because remember, I said sometimes the tone can come off harsh, but we have to balance it with empathy and understanding in order for us to come with productive resolutions. Now, this one right here, for an example, in emergency settings, say a team member directly expresses a concern about a new emergency procedure. Now, this is new while still respecting the chain of command. Now, when to use this assertive communication is when, like I said before, the clarity and transparent communication is there through the research and the resources. Now, that prevents communication. It also encourages the honest feedback within the team and it maintains professionalism. So, when making a decisive statement that considers all parties, it also remains firm in the decision making. Again, that firm, that's why the assertiveness can sometimes be misconstrued. And again, the downside of it is it could be mistaken for aggression, but if not balanced with empathy. So remember, the key point for the assertive communication is that it promotes respect and clarity in high pressure situations, but also should be applied thoroughly to avoid the conflict from escalating. Oh, that was good. How many of you guys had the assertive communication style? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
See, there's one hand.
Just one? Okay. All right. That is perfect. Now, let's see. Let us go. How can you balance assertiveness with considering the needs and perspective of others in a conflict? Yeah, that's something to ponder on, guys. Woo! We have four more, y'all. We're only at the one. Let's go. Avoidance and accommodation style. Ooh, this one right here. This one is what it sounds like. This is the one where you just avoid everything. You don't want to talk about it. You're accommodating, like, yes, whatever. Just go ahead. You do not want the conflict at all. What they say, you don't want no problems. You don't want no smoke. You don't want the issue. And so a lot of people believe that this might be the most effective communication style. I'm sorry, conflict resolution style, but it's not. And again, like I said, communication style, this is one that correlates to because that one is the dismissive style. You just walk away. And in emergency situations, I am pretty sure you guys can recognize on why this one will not be very effective at all. Now, for it temporarily, depending on the urgency of the situation, the avoidance and the accommodation might. Now, not so much of the avoidance part of it, but the accommodation of it. If again, you are in the situation with the chain of command or someone else that is having the assertive style, that is when the accommodation style would only be okay in that situation. Now, during a large scale or evacuation, a team member defers a disagreement about protocol to avoid disrupting the operation and then agrees to address the situation later. Now, that might be a situation where it is okay. All right. When to avoid the situation is when the conflict is not that critical, when this emergency is an immediate success, and then it can be addressed later. But avoiding it and not just accommodating in emergency situations is not so much good. Now, how many of you guys had the avoiding conflict resolution? I'm gonna go ahead and take a sip of my water right now.
About three in the room.
Okay, we got three. All right. We got three. Now, there's the key point. Both the accommodating and the avoiding can be useful in urgents, but it should be only balanced with follow-up discussions. But we are going to prevent those to prevent ongoing issues, because it's one thing about the avoidance and accommodation. We do not want to make that habitual in emergency situations, because that when it goes by one time, you're like, "Whoo, that was not a success. That was luck, or that was, whoo, we got saved." Okay, but we are not going to do that again. Now, think about the potential consequences of constantly avoiding conflicts in relationships. And again, I'm talking all types of relationships here. All right, now let us go to the compromise seeking style. Again, compromising, not compromise seekers. They aim to find a middle ground when conflicts arise. They're willing to give up some of their preferences to reach an agreement that satisfies both parties. Now, most people, again, might also believe that this is one of the best styles. But the thing about compromising is that it can constantly be one-sided. Again, like I said before, if you get away with it one time, or if things are a success in an emergency situation, it's like, okay, but one person usually compromises when they feel pressure. Now, I prefer negotiation over compromise for several reasons. Now, the compromise involves each party giving up something. That could be very time consuming. Now, negotiation can be time consuming as well, but in a lot of emergency situations, that can work. Time is of the essence. That can also work. But for the purpose of this, again, we're just going to go with compromising. Now, example of an emergency situation of compromising. So say there's two response teams that are arguing over, I don't know, equipment, or whether we should move in or move out. Now, rather than let the conflict delay the response, they compromise by sharing ideas, going back and forth of the pros and the cons, and thinking of what's solution driven. Now, again, you use it when it's quick and it's mutually accepted and decisions are needed to be made. Now, I say mutually accepted because when it's not mutually accepted quickly, that's when we're going back and forth and we're trying to, that's the competitive style. Okay, that moves into the competitive style. We are no longer negotiating and we are no longer compromising. Now, the downside again of compromising, it could leave both parties dissatisfied and neither of them gets the ideal outcome. And then their resentment come. We don't want to work together anymore. You don't listen here. We made it out, but what happens next time? That could be the downside of compromising. How many of you guys got the compromising?
Couple more hands.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Now, how often, this is another question I want you to ponder. How often do you go straight to compromise when resolving conflicts? I know, it's again, teamwork. We hear teamwork makes the dream work. What do you say? What do I say? And yes, sometimes that is the go-to immediately. Now, it can be confused. Let's get to the next one with the collaborative approach. All right, it could definitely be confused. But remember, when we talked about the collaborative approach, I'm sorry, the compromise approach, we talked about someone can come out dissatisfied. One person is definitely going to win over the other. But with the collaborative approach, this is often considered the most effective approach because it involves actively working together to find the mutually benefit outcome in conflicts. It focuses on the win-win situation where both parties needs are met. Now, a lot of this is also met with when it comes to certain situations, this is met when two people are very open. Okay, the both parties are open and both parties have the knowledge and the resources to help each other to be collaborative. Because sometimes, let's be honest, everyone wants to collaborate. We love to collaborate, but the other person just doesn't have the same resources that you have. And that's when the conflict arises because you can only work with someone that has the level of knowledge or the person that is open to have the same to enhance their knowledge, right? And so that's why the collaborative style is the approach that is the one that is the most effective or considered the most effective when it comes to conflict resolution. Now let me tell you which one is not, guys. Hold on, let's get to it. The competitive style, the win-lose style. And I'm just going to cross out the win because really it's lose-lose at the end. Now, some individuals, they love this competitive style, okay? They love it. And this is when they prioritize their own needs. Oh my goodness, hold on. Let's go back. I did not ask how many had the collaborative style. Uh-oh, there we go. How many had the collaborative style? More hands?
We got at least 4 or 5. I saw I myself, when you said it was the best one, said collaborative. So
Perfect. Yes, all right. Oh, let's go back. Look, I was so excited. Now, the competitive style again. Now, this one, my way, no way, or we are going to compete until it is my way. If you think it's your way, all right, their preferences over others. Now, they might use the tactics. They're going to think about this to assert their viewpoint and win this conflict. Now, while this approach sometimes, now, like the majority of them, can result in a quick resolution, it can also damage the relationships, the project that we're working on, the emergency situation that we are attending to at the moment, and create a lot of hostility. It could just be a domino effect of that quick result of being competitive. And like I said, with all of the other ones, even if it's a success in the temporary moment, the resentment, the hostility, there is still going to be some backlash from having that competitive conflict resolution style. So it's important for the individuals that acquire this one to be mindful of the long-term consequences of the style and the relationship dynamics that it's handling in, whether it's again the co-worker or the higher ups or even who it's going to affect down below, because it can lead to the strain interactions everywhere and hinder the future collaborative effects in the future. Because again, there were 4, 5, 6 in the audience that had the collaborative style. And then if you pair them in the team with someone that has the competitive style, it's definitely going to hinder those efforts in the future. You know, a lot of the trust is lost, or I don't want to work with them anymore. It's also very uncooperative. All right, it is uncooperative because again, they pursue their own interests at the expense of others, whether they're trying to climb up the chain or just, there are some people that just are competitive by nature. They are just competitive by nature. They are going to bring it in. Have you ever, I don't know, the running joke with Chipotle, it's like they don't give you all of the extra meat like it's coming out of their paycheck. It's just like you just have people that have that mindset, right? And it's just being competitive. So like I said, you temporary, but just know that there are going to be long-term consequences, and it's only viable due to time constraint or resource constraints. But it has to be some reliability on the other person's knowledge, and we have to be open when it comes to that. How many people had the competitive style in the room?
Nobody's fessing up.
Uh-huh. Nobody. All right. So let's see. Think about it. Can you think of a time, since no one is going to fess up, that you had to balance meeting others' needs while standing up for yourself during a conflict? Think about it, guys. So, we already talked about the most effective conflict resolution style, and we guessed it, it's the collaborative approach. So, what I want you guys to take a moment to think about while I take a sip of water, and you guys take one too if you have some, is for the others that did not have the collaborative approach and had the other ones, how might you change some things to switch over to the collaborative approach? Now we're going to get into some things on how we can identify them and what we can do in practices. But I just want you to take that moment based on the examples that I've given before. How can we switch over? I'm going to take just 1 minute, just a 1 minute pause, let you guys think, look over your notes, see if you have any questions. Anyone want to go ahead and say anything?
I do. Um, I think I have different approaches based on situations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
sometimes I can be assertive, while
Mm-hmm.
other times I can be collaborative, or um, I mean, I try not to be assertive, but there are definitely times you just have to be.
Right. Now,
And
do you feel like it is in a different familial situations? Meaning, are you meaning in different situations, or is it maybe with a family situation different from a work situation and an intimate situation?
I would say from a work situation,
Mm-hmm.
not a family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, I just tell my husband what to do.
Okay.
But it
No,
works
that's great. I
uh,
was wondering because a lot of people do say that when they are talking about, like, oh, it's different with my mom, or it's different with, my husband, but this is great. And it's different, again, definitely different in different situations. Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
no, I've been in situations where people can't, come to an agreement on something, and so somebody has to be assertive and just, you know, take take the lead in something, and
Mm-hmm.
or you just don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I can't
So
think.
what style would you think that was?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've had it happen even in a training situation.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking here, I've got this uh, notebook thing here from when I worked at Novartis, and it was for a leadership series. And even then, nobody could come up with anything. They couldn't speak up, and I'm not much of a speaker, and so
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, okay, this is what we're doing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of being assertive and
Right.
making that decision.
Yes, absolutely. And that is because it seems like the others in that situation were being the avoiding ones. They were avoiding, they were saying, hey, or accommodating. Because when the assertive one, again, they're like, okay, fine. And like you said, they're avoiding not stepping up anyway. And give me one more example, because this is good. I appreciate it. Now, give me an example to where it will be the other, where you have changed your conflict resolution style.
Um, where I've changed it.
Yes, because you said there are certain situations where they will be different. So in that situation, you gave me an example where you were assertive and you had that assertive. So give me another example where you were not assertive and you had another style.
Okay, there have been times when I might start out, predetermined in my thoughts in a group meeting, and then realize that I was being predetermined and gone to more of a collaborative way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. That's good. See, you came out. So if I understand, predetermined, it was the competitive style.
I guess
Is that
just
what?
like looking at thinking in a more of a leadership role, and then realizing
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to be that. I should have just been, everybody has to, we all have to come to the same agreement.
Good, good. So switching over to the collaborative style. See, that's good, everyone. So that's why, again, understandably, that we all have a part of the five of them. But we all want to just try to move over to the collaborative style and the collaborative approach. But more so, and I see here in the chat, in the comments, that Teresa Perrin says, what if someone is angry and yelling? Walk away. Yes, absolutely. That is all. Walking away is going to always be the number one when a situation gets out of hand and when you just feel like you just can't control it. That will always be to walk away or to bring someone else in to be a mediator. But because that is, again, that's when the competitive style can get to a different level, and we never want to reach there. So yes, that is the answer to that one. And also in the comments, depending on the situation, absolutely depending on the situation. But also, when it depends on the situation, we're all going to eventually think about it this way, guys. We're all going to eventually move to the collaborative approach. Whether the situation is going to bring us a competitive or an assertiveness, like the young lady said there, it eventually, when we all come together, the goal is for all of us to have the middle ground of the collaborative approach, not the compromising, the collaborative approach. All right, anything else out there before we go on to triggers? No? All right, let's get back to the screen, guys. So here are some actionable, how are we doing on time? Is everyone, because this is some good stuff. Please let me know where I am on time.
We got 10 minutes left in the regular session.
Perfect. All right, because I have some actionable conflict resolution plans for you guys. So grab that notebook, because we are going to recognize them, especially in emergency situations. Now, conflicts, inevitable. They are always going to come up, but we want to minimize that. But especially in high pressure environments, the stress levels are going to be elevated and quick decisions are going to need to be made. So recognizing the behaviors or the triggers that lead to conflict during these crucial and critical moments, such as communication breakdowns or lack of communication, deferring priorities, because again, like I said, that is when someone is there and they believe that their priorities are overlooking everyone else's priorities, or the resources are limited. And again, that's when you feel like someone that is superior is coming in and just taking demands without understanding that maybe your resources are just limited. And that's what can help teams anticipate and manage the conflicts more effectively, because it's all about managing and mastering. So those are how we can identify those triggers. And then active listening. Active listening is important on and off the field, on and off the stage, on and off the court, everywhere. You guys get it. Active listening. All right. Because it's perspective taking. So in emergency situations, you have to focus on truly understanding the other team member's perspective without interrupting or judging. So, going back to those limited resources, it's about understanding your audience and where that person is coming from, but not in a way that is conflicting, not in a they don't know what they're talking about way, not in that perspective, but understanding, saying that, oh, they feel strongly about this because they don't know what it is. Listen, guys, I wanted to be a lawyer before I went into psychology. I did one semester, and when I found out that the laws change overnight, I said, oh no, because I would prepare for my case and I would go in there and they would say, no, that passed at 12:01. I would say, oh no, throw it all away. All right. So again, it's about understanding that maybe that teammate, that person didn't see that news update, didn't see the memo, and then practicing the active listening. But then it takes the person on that other end to practice the active listening as well, to understand what the new policies, procedures, or whatever the update is for us to get through this emergency situation, guys. It's about empathy. Empathy, again, on and off the court. And it is collaboration, even under high pressure situations. So again, what is it? Active listening, empathy. It creates a space for open communication. It doesn't create a hostile environment. And it not only helps resolve conflicts, it also enhances the team dynamics. I mean, leading to more effective, unified emergency responses, because now you trust each other. You guys know. And the person that had the lack of resources are more inclined to go receive that information, to go research that information, instead of taking it as a rebellious moment. And, because there's some people who are like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even going to try to go for it, because of how it all played out. But create that safe space for that person. And we can do that by setting boundaries, reflecting, and adjusting, and then monitoring your moods. Oh my goodness, monitoring the moods. We are all, and moods, they come in, they come out. Sometimes moods hit you. You don't even know that you're in a mood sometimes. Now, some moods, we have to learn how to, again, manage those when we are in emergency situations. So it's crucial to set those boundaries and communication, knowing what each team member's roles and responsibilities and their limits are. Because again, that goes back to what? Understanding and active listening to what their resources are. If there's a higher up, you understand what the resources are, might or might not agree with them at the time. But remember, when we went back earlier in the presentation, sometimes in the quick temporary situations and moments, we go for it and then we revisit it later. But it's important not to make it habitual, because these boundaries help present the misunderstandings and the conflicts, ensuring the respect of the team's flow coming into it. Now, After action reviews are vital, especially in emergency response situations and settings. That's why reflecting on the conflict resolution and yours, that's why I asked, how can you guys take what you guys' resolution style was and bring it more over to the collaborative style? Because that is what will be effectiveness in the future and what needs to be practiced and habitual. So, open the feedback from your team and the willingness to address and approach as needed. Ooh, flexibility. Everybody, write that down. Flexibility in refining your conflict resolution. That is definitely going to help significantly improve the team's communication and effective communication. Like I said, we talk about there are 5 communication styles. There are 5 styles to everything. 5 communication styles. I know you guys heard the 5 love languages, and here are the mastering conflict resolution styles. So, where are we at? I think that we are on time, and who? That is it. So who is the master? Who's the master of conflict resolution? That's you, right? Especially why? Because you were here today, taking the time out, learning how to manage your conflicts in high stress emergency situations. Now, the personal life, that is something totally different. And listen, let's not overlook that it can intertwine sometimes. If we are upset at home, if something is going on at home, we can bring that into the workplace, or vice versa. If something's going work, we bring that there. So it's all about managing and mastering. All right. Oh, this was great, guys. Any more questions? Anything else in the comments? I'm checking the comments. Anyone in the room? No? Well, you guys were great. Is it okay? That is all I have for you. And again, reach me. You guys can email me at info@kkeepsake.com. And my website is kkkeepsake at It's KK Keepsake everywhere, guys. But for everyone, again, that has attended and reached out to me specifically, I will further email you and send you a Mastering Conflict Resolution challenge, as well as a deeper assessment on what we did earlier, because that was only 4 or 5. And I see that you guys had some good ones for yourself, but we want to change that over. And again, recognize the triggers and learn our boundaries, guys. So thank you guys for this presentation and session.
Thank you.
Yeah.